Between 2005 and 2013, the property listing market in India is ruled by three major players: InfoEdges, 99 Acres, Magic Bricks, and Housing.com. They were in hundreds of cities, had tens of crores in revenue, and were backed by behemoths like InfoEdge and IREF. But the customers were not happy because they had to pay high brokerage, there was opaque information, and the brokers themselves were ruining the overall experience of owners, buyers, and tenants. Faced with these problems, Saurabh Garg went to his two friends, Amit and Akhil, and they decided to start a platform free from brokers and to save Indians from 1.5 lakh crore worth of annual brokerage charges. What's the result? In just a decade after launch, they have over 30 million customers with a revenue of 350 crores, beating OG players like 99 Acres who are still at 75 crores of revenue. And they are the first company in the PropTech space to be valued over $1 billion. This is the story of NoBroker. And in this podcast, we are going to discuss NoBroker's marketing and product strategy, and we'll be looking at four things. First, we will look at the PropTech market. Second, we will look at NoBroker's advantage of building a marketplace. Third, growth strategy to acquire millions of customers, and the monetization strategy which took them to 350 crores worth of revenue. So Dhruv, have you ever had an experience with NoBroker in the past?
It's funny that you mentioned it, but yeah, I have had a pretty good experience actually with this company, right? Because I remember it was, let's say, summer of I think 2023, and I was looking out for a flat in Bangalore. And to my surprise, this was the first time I'd actually gone out flat hunting. And I thought it was not that difficult, right? I thought if you connect with the broker, things should be fairly easy. But to my surprise, brokers were rejecting me outright because I was a bachelor. I couldn't find a flat, and a lot of the times I was connected with brokers, and they were just telling me that there are no flats available. Right? This was a very shocking experience because for a span of almost 3-4 months, I was just looking around and I was very confused about what to do. Which is at this point, it's when my friend told me that, why don't you try this app called NoBroker? And I had heard about NoBroker, but I didn't know what exactly they did. And suddenly the name clicked. I'm like, oh, this is an app that actually allows you to connect directly with the owners as a tenant or vice versa. And I went through the app, and within just a month's time, I landed a beautiful flat. This is where I'm sitting, for that matter. And that's been my experience so far, and which is why I've been a very big proponent of NB in general.
So my friends have had similar experiences in Delhi NCR, Mumbai, Bangalore, all of these places, right? And there is a lot of migration which is happening from smaller cities to these larger cities.
Correct.
And so for that matter, before getting into the PropTech market, what you need to realize is that real estate market is itself going to reach $1 trillion by 2030, right? And it is expected that the catalyst of that would be the PropTech companies like NoBroker, which by 2030 will grow to approximately $100 billion, growing at 9.3% annually. What you need to realize about the PropTech market is that it's not limited to players like NoBroker, 99 Acres, all of these players, because there are several other categories under PropTech which are essentially growing really fast. Some of these categories are interiors, furniture, co-working spaces, co-living spaces, all of these things, right? But the oldest segment in the whole PropTech space is the property listing and management space, which was started by Sanjeev Bikhchandani in 2005 when he launched 99 Acres, right? Between 2005 and 2014, this segment was growing really rapidly, and it was being led by players like 99 Acres, Housing.com, and Magic Bricks. And on top of that, they were in 600 plus cities, right? So in 2014, Amit, Saurabh, and Akhil decided to enter this competitive space with two new insights. The first was that we will not have any brokers on our platform. And the second insight was that rather than going to 600 plus cities, we will focus on 6 to 11 metro areas. And to this date, they are only present in 11 locations.
And you know what this reminds me of, Rakshit? Recently did a video on Mokobara for that matter, and we saw a very similar strategy adopted there, where
Yeah.
this company does not choose to go to basically every city in every state in India, but actually focus on a few core cities. And if you haven't
Yes,
checked out for that
absolutely.
matter, make sure you also go and check out that video and come back to this one.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Now, let us go to the second part of this podcast, which is the no brokers advantage of building a marketplace, right? Before we get into no brokers marketplace dynamics, let us understand how does a two-sided marketplace actually work, right? A two-sided marketplace is very tough to build because you need one segment to attract the other, which means if you don't have owners who want to rent out their flats, you won't get tenants onto your platform. And this is exactly why when 99 Acres Magic Breaks essentially started, their major business is attracting brokers onto their platform so that they can get supply of more and more properties. And they know for a fact that if we can get supply, tenants, buyers, all of these will come immediately onto that platform, right? And if you look at it from a broker's perspective, it makes complete sense to be on these platforms because he can essentially generate unlimited demand for his properties and earn commission on top of that. Which is why all of these platforms earn money through advertising and not through subscription. And that is another advantage or another thing that no broker has actually done, and we'll talk about it later in the monetization section. Now, what 99 Acres Magic Breaks Housing.com is a B2C marketplace, which is basically business to consumer. You have brokers which are in the form of business, and you have your end consumer in the form of people like you and me. But with no broker, what they've done is that they've built a C2C marketplace, which is a consumer to consumer marketplace. What that essentially means is that on that platform, you won't find any brokers, you won't find any businesses, but you would find real people who want to either who want to rent out their flat or want to sell it off. And in order to imitate what brokers do, in terms of listening to listening to customer demands about the kind of flat that they want or the amount or the kind of locality that they want, no broker is trying to emulate that through technology by giving features like metro stations, places near metro stations, availability, furnishing, parking, etc. All of these filters are there in order to help you make a faster decision, and trying to enable what brokers are doing through actual technology, right? Now let us understand their rationale behind going to 11 cities versus 600 plus cities of their competitors. And Dhruv, this is where your point comes in, that majority of these new age players are trying to focus on the top 1% of segment. And because they realize that these guys need to move both intercity as well as intracity. And the fact is that these are very value conscious users. What I mean by value conscious users are that they wouldn't mind paying some extra amount of money. But when they know for a fact that, yeah, I can save money on brokerage and spend that excess money that I've saved on myself, they would prefer doing that rather than to give that money to a broker, right? And if you look at no broker's plans versus what you would essentially pay to a broker for a 1 month rent, it is in the range of, there is a 5 to 10x difference. And finally, what no broker has also done is that they've realized that, yeah, this entire segment, if we go consumer to consumer, it would be very difficult to just monetize on just subscriptions. That is why they've built this whole value around their product, introducing things like rent agreement, packers and movers, painting, home loan, etc. All of these things would help them control the customer experience right from searching the property to actually going inside it, right? And this will help reduce friction points for the customers, making no broker the only platform which you would essentially go to in order to serve everything about your home needs. This is all fine, right? But how do you get to 30 million registered customers in just a matter of 10 years? I think, Dhruv, you're the person to help us with that.
So, Rakshit, as you rightly said, this is a C2C marketplace, and you need one side of the equation to attract the other side of the equation, right? That's how the two-side marketplace concept functions.
Yeah.
Now, talking specifically about their strategy, right? In the initial stages, what you have to understand is for them, the demand side is largely managed in the sense that if you talk specifically about the subscription plan aspect of their business, which is again the largest revenue generator, they already have the demand side, like you, me looking for flats, that's sorted for them, right? There's enough, there are tons of people looking for flats at this point in time, flats, house of sale, those kind of things, right? Now, what they don't have is actually a steady flow of owners listing on their platform, right? So their initial stage of growth just came from figuring out ways and means to onboard a lot more owners, right? And how they did this was very interesting. So one is that you have to understand that a lot of people who are actually owners aren't necessarily tech savvy citizens, right? A lot of these people are not youngsters who are already equipped with gadgets and used to the whole app world, right? So for them to onboard more of the senior citizen crowd, they actually went to a lot of these folks directly. They said that, you know what, you compare your own broker and you compare us, right? So you just give us your contact number, we will handle everything for you.
Yes.
You don't have to register on any app, you don't have to do anything, just give us your number, we will contact people and we will get you the listing settled.
Yes.
Right? So that is how it's a very non-scalable strategy in that sense, but it's what actually turbocharged their initial leg of growth. Right?
it.
So that's number one. Number two is they also went to the younger, the let's say the sons and daughters of these property owners and told them to list the property on behalf of the owner.
Yes.
Right? Again, trying to sort of bridge this gap of tech savviness with the senior folks. Right? So that was something interesting. Another very interesting point is that they actually clicked. So like, how they have this banner of on sale outside a lot of houses. So when I, for example, went flat hunting, right, I'll often scour for these kind of listings outside houses, right? And this is what NoBroker appointed agents, like they went around the cities and regions in, let's say, these areas, and they actually clicked photos of the on sale boards and they listed it on their platform, right? And this way they were able to again attract this supply side of the equation very fast convince people, because look, at the end of the day, as a tenant, if I am trying to search for flats, right, it's much easier for me to just scroll through images rather than actually going around the marketplace, right?
Yeah.
And for owners also, for a fact that okay, with this level of availability of my listing to so many eyeballs, I will obviously get a listing converted much faster, right? So this was, I think, the initial leg of growth, which was very interesting in my opinion. Right? Talking about the second most important marketing lever for them, which is search. Right now, obviously, for any of us who are actually looking for a flat, the first thing anybody's going to do, if let's say you are moving to Bangalore from Delhi, right? Ab kya karoge, right? The first thing you're going to do is go Google, let's say flat in this particular area in Bangalore, right? So that's what everybody's doing, which is why people in the real estate business need to have a very robust presence on search. And search, I mean things like, again, Google, Bing, those areas, right? Having a very authoritative website, having good SEO, those kind of things, right? And I think, again, this is what their founder also said, that almost 60 to 70% of the customers for NoBroker come organically, which means obviously one part of the equation is going to come through referrals and word of mouth, but another part is also going to come through just pure organic search content. Right?
Interesting.
This is what I found out after a lot of research on the real estate SEO market, right? And this is a very interesting topic. Now, NoBroker actually ranks third as compared to its competitors in the search space, right? So NoBroker is getting like 4 million traffic per month compared to Magic Bricks, which stands at 7 million, and Housing.com that stands at 5 million, right? And as we discussed in the initial part, NoBroker is already matching the ranks of these players in terms of just revenue, right? Now, what's interesting is that if you actually look at players like Magic Bricks and Housing.com, if you look through their SEO, if you look through the articles that are ranking on the top, you'll see that it's a lot of hogwash, right? What I mean is that, like for example, a lot of SEO experts are given this particular metric. Here, go and give me volume. I just want search volume, right? But what I have realized after working in SEO for some time now is that volume need not necessarily correlate with conversion, right? At the end of the day, every business wants sale, right? So it's like, I can't, even if I have an article that goes viral, but it has no relation to what I'm selling. It's pretty much like a vanity metric, right? And a lot of SEO geeks focus on these vanity metrics, right? Which is why when we spoke to someone from the SEO team also at NoBroker, they said the very same thing, right? That other players in the industry, they're ranking on articles like House Puja, or like, stuff like what to do in this particular neighborhood, right? These are things that not exactly tie back to your business as a fund, as at its root, right? But what NoBroker is actually ranking for are very, very high intent keywords like flats near me, packers and movers near me, again a very important business segment that they're trying to build. Stuff like rent agreement, now very high intent keywords, and that's what they have actually built a lot of authority on after a lot of years of obviously churning out like hundreds and thousands of articles every month and every year, right? So this was an interesting thing. Another thing, adding on to the SEO sort of game, is actually their forum. If you want to scale SEO, I don't know how much you understand about the whole SEO game, but if you want to scale SEO, right, what you often have to do is basically churn out articles and just keep scaling that as an endless sort of cycle, right? And you can probably strategically give topics and keywords. But the problem is you have to write good quality articles for every damn thing, right? So that's where you have like this bottleneck of having writers, do all these things. But if you could actually make the process a little simpler, right? Now, this is where something like a forum comes in, right? Where you put up these long tail questions that, oh, I'm a 22-year-old looking for a flat in Bangalore, right? Now, instead of someone at the back end writing an elaborate article on that, what you can just do is populate a simple query, add some simple answers under that. Now, this could be from your own team, or this could be from, let's say, the
Your actual
community
community
itself. Yeah, and in that sense, this forum now, even though it's not like it's not something someone has actively gone and written, it just has a lot of answers with a lot of good insights, right? And people actually read through these because these are actual personalized, responses, right? And Google actually gives weightage to anything that they see is actually giving a personalized element to some of its readership.
Interesting.
Right? So a forum is actually a very interesting way to populate thousands of queries. And lastly, talking about their community, right? Now, NoBroker obviously does all the set of marketing like ads, stuff like that, right? Now, that's not something that we found particularly interesting, but what we did find interesting is the fact of, their community aspect, right? Now, what NoBroker has done is it's trying to build this intense connect with some of its owners, right? As we said, that owners are their sort of bread and butter of their business, right? If they're there, that's how they survive the whole subscription model, right? So what they've done is actually build these community groups with a lot of owners from different apartments, single houses, and independent houses, flat owners. They've added a lot of these owners into this community, and they constantly engage with them, right? They send them goodie boxes, they answer any kind of questions, or let's say if any owner is looking for any particular service like painting or something like that, they can just quickly reach out to this community, and the community can respond from NoBroker's team, right? So again, a very interesting way to have a very solid connect with a lot of owners. So you have the top of the mind recall with these people,
yes,
right? They also run ambassador clubs, right? Where they actually pay certain ambassadors in various societies to go out and scavenge for, people looking for any kind of service that NoBroker offers. As I said, right? Painting, packers and movers. So actually, these ambassadors are getting some sort of commission from NB.
So we have covered the PropTech market, we have covered the marketplace that NoBroker is building, and we have figured out how does NoBroker gets its users, right? But how does it monetize it? So NoBroker's monetization strategy is very different from its competitors because their competitors are primarily dealing with ads business versus NoBroker, who is charging an upfront fee for them, right? Now, we can break down NoBroker's monetization strategy into two parts. The first is subscription revenue, which is the primary contributor to the 350 crores worth of revenue that they've generated. And on top of that, they have built cross-sell services, which essentially help you manage your home and move into a better home, right? Their subscription business only makes sense in certain cities in India. That is why they're in 11 cities only. Now, let me explain that a bit, right? Typically, because NoBroker is a subscription platform where you want to essentially get more and more users to buy your subscription in order for them to generate the revenue, right? Now, the thing about NoBroker is that they would like to target cities where their subscription can provide a 5 to 10x price difference, and the users would essentially come to them again and again. So typically, if you think about cities like Bangalore, right, there the average rent is maybe in the range of 30 to 40,000. Sometimes it can go to 50,000 as well. Same with Delhi NCR, same with Pune, same with Mumbai, right? The rents are pretty high. Now, a typical subscription of NoBroker costs 6,000 rupees for tenants. Now, that is a 5x difference in a 1 to 1.5. If you pay a 1 month brokerage to a broker, that would cost around 30 to 45,000 versus what you pay NoBroker, which is just 6,000 rupees. And so in the minds of the user, it's a 5x price difference that they would be willing to pay NoBroker, right? On top of that, they have certain tiers in their subscription, and this is where a concept called popcorn pricing comes in. What they've done is that they have 3 types of tiers. The first is for 1,500, which is a simple DIY plan, right? The second and the third are exactly similar. So they have, it's called relax plan and money back plan. It's exactly similar, but the only difference is that with the money back plan, if NoBroker is not able to find you a flat, they would be paying back your money, right? And the price difference between them is around 20%. Now, NoBroker is so confident in the cities that they're in that they're like, okay, you pay us, even though we know for a fact that we'll be able to find you a house. But if in the minds of the user, if he has any doubt, they just clear it off. You can just clear it off by paying 1,500 more, which for these sets of users is not that big of a money, right? So that is the subscription part of their business. The second part is cross-sell. So they, as I said, they want to be at every stage of both the buyers as well as the sellers, right? So they have provided things like seller agreement, rental agreement. They've provided things like packers and movers. All of these things, while the contribution to subscription might be a little lesser, these things just help NoBroker stay on the top of the mind of the user. Because once you've used 3-4 services of NoBroker, it suddenly becomes like the platform to go to when you are looking for anything related to your property.
And with that said, this is a wrap on today's episode. If you're here at Perspectify for the first time, we're a channel that does case studies on marketing, product, and growth. We also run a lovely community called the Perspectify Community, where we host a lot of debates and discussion on a variety of topics in the business world. So make sure you join that with the link in the description box. With that said, that's both me and Rakshit signing off.
Bye.
Take care.
Yeah, we're on a quest, unlocking strategies, find out what's the best. Perspectify, join us on the ride, discovering the secrets, changing the tide.